Hi and welcome back to my solo playthrough of Prime Minister. I think rules-wise I am more or less okay, which is actually quite frightening for a GMT game, but maybe not all of you have read the rules or played the game yourself, so I might still be doing stuff wrong or forgetting things, but it seems, at least so far, I am doing okay. I have no clue if I'm doing okay in respect to my victory points, in respect of staying alive. I think I got through the last cycle quite okay. I had to postpone the election as far as I remember. And right now the Liberal Party is still in the lead. And keep in mind, once I'm losing my job as the Prime Minister, the game is immediately over. So I have to stay alive no matter what. Okay, I think let's get back to the game. First thing to do, we will get our income, victory point income 1 and 2. We are getting 4 points because we are still Prime Minister. 17 points out of 100, so that's our goal for this session. Next, we will take our action cube income, and then we will go through another build selection, which is actually quite a fun process in this game. So I'm still at 3 action cubes, whereas the opposition leader Roseberry is still at 2, but slowly but steadily he's getting there. 2 more standing in the parliament and he will collect his 3rd action cube, and I'm relatively certain from that point onward I'm pretty much toast. Okay, let's select some builds. We will definitely start with some cross-party builds first. So here we have the Mines and Collieries Act, which is not a bad one. We will basically both get 2 victory points, and the Prime Minister, if we are successfully passing this bill, would get a supporter card. That is definitely nice. It's basically a full action we are getting there. And as you can see, or if you were able to see, some of these supporters are really, really powerful. So that's definitely a good start. But let's keep going because it's a -10, so it's not so easy to achieve. And here we have the Public Health Ireland Act, an act to advance public health in Ireland. So that's more for the moderates, but we get a +30 and Ireland would increase by 2 and we would gain, okay, that's a tempting one. 2 more steps in Ireland would give us 4 more seats. And I think during my first video I always said that it was votes. No, it's in fact ultimately seats we are talking about. So this would be a seat swing of 4, which is of course relatively huge in this case. Doesn't give us any partisans, but still, as you can see, the Liberal Party is still in the lead with 2 projected seats in this case. That is certainly nice. Let's go for one. Let's go for one conservative bill here. We have the Enclosure Act. Yeah, that's another partisan bill, and again, our current members of parliament only consists of 60 partisans. We would get a +20, but this would bring it to 80 in total. So 80 votes we would have for this bill. And again, in order to make it, we need 330. So these are really incredibly difficult to achieve, quite honestly. I mean, but this is, and even the effect down there, I mean, this is bad for the liberals. The liberals go up and the workers go up by 1. I mean, I really don't understand these conservative bills. Yes, we will get the victory points out of those. I totally get that, and we need victory points in order to win, maybe. But I still think that these conservative goals are more something for the end game when you're no longer caring too much or so. But this point in time, I don't really know. So this is definitely a no. I will have to go with cross-party bills for now. So again, we are drawing 6, and from these 6 we will then ultimately select 3, right? Here we have the Universities Scotland Act. That's also a nice one. All -20. Again, difficult to achieve. And let's say an act for the better government of the universities of Scotland. From what I understood from the rules, these were the official, let's say, descriptions of these bills, but some minor tweaking may have been done in respect to readability and put them on paper or so. But overall, I think these bills were actual things. That's my understanding. So Gentry and Scotland would go up. Again, 2 ticks, which is always nice. -20, that's not easy, but very close to this one here as well, right? Still, we have 2 difficult ones. I need to go with at least 1 easy to achieve one, so I will go for another cross-party bill. And here we have the Windsor Castle Act. What is this? An act to improve Windsor Castle. Okay, this does make sense. Gentry would go up by 1. We would gain 1 standing or 1 favor, but it's minus 30. Again, another challenging one. I think I have to go with another cross-party bill. That's a 6 card, but I think because we are running an election now this cycle, we can no longer delay it. We need these easy ones, low-hanging fruits, right? The Lunacy Act. Now we are talking an act to improve asylums. Okay, for the moderates, plus 50, 3 victory points for both of us, and we basically get to draw 2 supporters and get to pick 1. Okay, and it's I think this worked out okay in the end. So the Lunacy Act is definitely, absolutely, this is set, right? It's M plus 50. Currently our moderates are 270 votes, so I can show you this. 270 plus 50, that's 320. That's definitely a problem because it will get targeted by our opponent, but that's okay. At least I hope. Let's see how things go, but at least we're getting there. Then we will, of course, also go for the Public Health Ireland Act. And maybe one thing that we could consider doing is hoping for a supporter that might do an influence action for us, how we can then transform partisans into moderates, which will also help us with these bills. So this is plus 30, so this goes to 300, which is also, that's a problem also in the scope or in the attack range of Rosebery. But then what are we going to do with the third one? I think I might go for this Mines Act here because it's a little bit easier to achieve. The partisan one, again, this doesn't help, and the others seem relatively difficult to achieve. On the other hand, we are gaining some immediate gentry bump, but 30 is quite brutal because, again, we needed to go back. Right now, our all government members of parliament is at 330, so we are 300, so we need to bring it back to 30, but this is also then directly in the attack range, so all of these will be in the attack range. That's a bummer, and he will attack those like crazy. So I still think let's go for the easier one. So this could really be game over actually. Now let's see how things go. So that's 320 as well, right? Exactly. That's that. I mean, we could pass these 1 out of 6 chances, and we are shuffling all these uncertainty cards back together. So we are never going through that deck. Every time you are supposed to draw an uncertainty card, you are dealing with the whole deck. So this card that we had could come back. And in this case, I believe, no, it was a seer. It didn't help us actually. No, I think at that point it didn't help us. But I digress. So that's basically my build selection. These are basically going back to the respective discard piles, and then we will start the action round. Again, Rosebery has 2 action cubes, so we are placing his very first one. His first action would be to flatter Her Royal Majesty. The problem is he's basically a futile action for him because he has way more than we do, so he's skipping that. The next one would be a minus 10 on any bill that is in attack range of 300 to 350, and that's basically all of them right now. So we have to start using some tiebreakers. The first tiebreaker is the victory point, so he will go for either one of those 2, the Lunacy Act or the Public Health Ireland Act. Then I think he will go for favor, but I'm not maxed out and there's nothing in respect to favors. And then I think the next one is where we are getting popularity, and that's the first tiebreaker. If this bill would be enacted now, that's basically what it's saying. And this island is definitely a threat for him for sure. So he's going to influence that one. That's the circle one. So this is going down to 290, which is, I think, actually quite all right. Because we could, depends a little bit on our event now, we could bring it back to at least 320. Yeah, that's not a lot actually. That's a bit vague. I think we have to cancel one of those, I guess, though. But okay, that was his first action. Problem is he's doing the same thing again, because again the next action cube, the first option he's choosing there is a minus 10, so basically dealing with our builds again. This time the tiebreaker, or the first tiebreaker, kicks in. Or is it? No, I think this is no longer in his attack range. It's 290 exactly, so I think he has to go for this one, because that's now, compared to this, the highest victory point. So this goes down to 310. So maybe that's the better deal. Maybe for this round we should try to make this thing real, because we only need 2 steps here in order to make it. At least to some. There's always a chance we are failing here, of course. Yeah. Let's try to do that. That's cool. So these were the 2 actions of Roseberry. Now we have to resolve an event. And I believe those are always bad, basically. So we always have to work for them. Though there's nothing that will simply gain you stuff out of these events. So being a Prime Minister is definitely a tough job, at least in this game here. Okay, that's quite a fitting one. German army overruns neighbor. Oh gosh, yeah, me as a German. We can ignore that, where we would be losing a standing, which right now, I'd say, is still okay-ish. We could denounce the Queen's German relatives. Yeah, it does make sense, and I'm pretty sure they're not amused about that. That's a -1, and I think we could go for that because we can't lose any more in that, or we could broker a peace deal for 2 cubes. Losing 1 standing is bringing us dangerously close to basically this level where we would be losing 1 action cube. On the other hand, if I really want this bill here to pass, I might have to suck it up. Again, in this Clockwork System 1, I could basically bring in my backup Prime Minister, the Earl of Aberdeen. But this would cost me 6 victory points, which is crazy expensive. And I can also only do that once per game. So once we are bringing in Earl of Aberdeen, that's it. That's what we have to live with. Oh boy, this is really a very tough call. What should I be doing here? I'm really not 100% sure now. Because that's the thing, if I am revoking or basically cancelling a bill, I will be losing 1 here anyway. So I think I can't ignore that. I can't afford that. That's obvious. So I think we will go for, we are denouncing the Queen's German relatives. It may still cost us an action cube, but at least we can't drop below 0 in this game. There's no ill effects whatsoever. You can't simply go below 0. You can't go above 8. And that's the truth for all of these little tracks in this game. That's basically a good thing. So I guess we were, let's say, kind of lucky. Let's put it like this. But again, it costs us 1 precious action cube. And now I have to take my actions. And maybe I have to, and I think I don't really necessarily want to win this game. I want to show you the intricacies as much as possible. I think showing you the Clockwork System 1 is already, let's say, a somewhat limited experience to some extent, because you're not really doing the full game. And again, in the Clockwork System 2, basically the full game, you are not so concerned about losing your job as the Prime Minister. Simply the AI will take over, so the Clockwork System, and then you will be playing the opposition leader from there. You can still score points, you can still get the title back of Prime Minister and whatnot. So I think this is definitely much more of a back and forth, basically. But I still want to show you as much as possible. So I think with my first action, I will go for 2 more supporters. Again, we are experienced hobnobber. And honestly, I never knew this term before I basically read the rules. David O'Connell, that is... no, that's not great. That's actually not great. I think it doesn't really help us. Yes, the -1 on Ireland can be nice, but... And yeah, this is also crap. Okay, this didn't work out at all. I mean, yes, the gentry +1 is great. The +2s here on Ireland, -1 on the, what was it? The Conservatives. Yeah, they're not so happy with me. This is really bad, basically. With this, I simply gain 1. I think this might be the better supporter for a Liberal Party, for example. Irish nationalist. I think this kind of thematically makes sense. This one is good. +1. Again, would be nice if we would get back into the range of only 2 apart on the favored track. Then I know I'm forcing the hand of Roseberry, but because of his +2 on this first action, seems almost too strong, quite honestly. But yeah, that's what he's doing. We still get to keep 1 of those, so I think Daniel O'Connell is definitely going away. We will hold on to Lord Alfred Tennyson. That's that. The thing is, we still have an action left, but I also do know that with his next actions, he will again target 2 of our builds. That's basically all that he's doing right now. Either flattering the Queen, messing with our build, or maybe go for Ireland. That's, or not, the Liberals, sorry, the Liberals. If I now increase with my last action 1 cube, I could again try that. I mean, I could simply move this in here and simply hope we are making it. And I think that's what I'm going to do, actually, because we will have to resolve a bill and then I can still focus on the others. Yeah, let's do that actually. Let's do that. So we are using our influence action here. No, it's our debate action, not influence would switch stuff. We are using our debate action here to move this to 330. So now we are in a 50-50 state of things, but that's already the end of our action turn. Exactly. So now we are going to resolve the bill. And again, because this is currently a 50-50, we will draw our uncertainty card for this one. And no, are you kidding me? This is so bad. -1. So we are just not good enough. We are just not making it with 229, and we really need 330 to make it. This one down here is only kicking in a actual election. So if we are basically the minority and we are in a good standing with Her Royal Majesty, and we would still be at equal to or higher than 319 seats, we would still remain or become Prime Minister. Of course, that's again against Rosebery, not very likely to happen. But that was really bad. Bad card. And I believe this is really ultra bad in a lot of ways. So the bill failed, right? So we are losing 2, he's gaining 2. So I think from here it's basically, it's not really game over, but it's pretty bad. So we are losing 1 and 2, which means we are only gaining 2 action cube next round. Again, we will deal with that in a second, because the bigger problem now is that he is gaining 2 standing in Parliament. So 3rd action cube, that's pretty bad on its own, but now because he is equal and his favor is higher with Her Royal Majesty, he's challenging us. So before he's challenging us, we get 1 chance to replace our Prime Minister, and we have to do that now. So we are bringing in the Earl of Aberdeen, which then brings our standing back to 11. So we're getting 3 action cubes. That is good, but he also now has 3 action cubes, and I think from now on, again, things will look pretty bad. And of course we are losing points, right? So we're going down to 11. He gains 1, 2, 3, I believe, because the bill failed. Exactly. So he was working very, very well against our bills here. But that was pretty much the challenge phase done. So the next time this is happening, and so far his standing never dropped. Maybe there is something which I need to do actually in order to actively work against that. But yeah, that's basically the end of the round. Of course, we would still check if there would be an election. Right now we still have 2 bills out, so that's not going to happen either. So I discarded this awful bill here. 1 vote. Are you kidding me? And that's basically it, right? So next round we are still Prime Minister, so we are gaining 4 points back. Hooray, he's getting 1 and 2 points, I believe. Again, it doesn't matter how many points he is collecting. It's only us. We need to get to the 100, but you don't get to 100 if you're losing 6 points, quite obviously. And we don't do bill selection. We are directly moving into the action turns, and we're doing the action cube income, which is 3 and 3 now. So this is bad. Let's do this. We are not doing that. I think there is still one. That is, I think basically his first 2 actions are to reduce our bills 10 votes each. Exactly, we can do that right away. So this is going from 310 to 290. Not really sure if we can do anything about that actually. And his 3rd one is interesting. He will not meddle with our bills because they're outside of his attack range. He would not give us -2 on our standing because we are already at the lowest level. So he will increase his influence or popularity in Scotland. So this is going up 1 step, and this is only quote unquote giving him 1 extra seat, which I think is quite okay for now at least. So those were his 3 action cubes, and now it's basically back to us. We have to resolve an event first, and I have no clue how to deal with the bills actually in this mode. We have a rail disaster in Ireland. We can ignore that. We are losing 2 steps there, which would be okay because we would be only losing 1 actually, because we are already at our lowest, or almost closer. I think in this case we have to do that. Spending 1 would basically be the same effect as this one, and spending 2 now in order to gain 2 seats, I think unfortunately, my Irish friends, we have to ignore it. So this will go down, so we would be losing 1 and 2 because we can't, again, these are really maximums. We can never go beyond the 1. We can never go above 14, which is, again, kind of a relief in this game. But again, pretty nasty event. But all of these events are actually quite nasty, and I have no clue how to deal with those. That's pretty brutal, actually. I have no clue what I'm doing here, actually. I'm playing so incredibly poorly. And honestly, I am not even sure what to do now. So maybe let's have a quick look at the Earl of Aberdeen. So his flatter action increased, basically went to a 2, which is nice. And I would do that if, again, that would bring me into the normal range of stuff, right? But in this case, I don't think that this is happening. And do we want to campaign? The hobnobbing is reduced. I think losing now Disraeli was pretty bad, actually. I mean, he had really very strong ability. It didn't necessarily help us too much because the cards that we have drawn were not really bad, but really not super useful, actually. I was really hoping, especially during the last round, I was hoping for more. So the question really is, should we spend 3... 1, 2, 3. Oh gosh, we can use 3 of those and then we would just bring it to 320 here. Yeah, I don't know if that is actually making sense or not. And I think for this solo mode, especially against Roseberry, the plus to the flatter one, maybe it is okay when this is your starting Prime Minister. Or maybe you really need someone who has, let's say, a higher debate rating. Then you would be able to switch these things 20 votes for each action that you are spending. So I think this is really, really bad now. But because the game will be over relatively quickly, I think I will... So basically what I'm trying to do is spend 1 cube, draw 1 supporter, and then really hope that we are getting something that would give us 2, but I don't think that this is realistic. I think I have to spend all 3 now to debate and simply hope for something good. So which one am I driving? Which one is the better one? Should we go for this to get more supporters? That's a supporter and 2. But on this I might be still able to... Are we really able to work on this? Will this get any better next round? I think it doesn't matter, actually. Unless we are getting a very cool supporter here, which would then be able to help us on this one. This is really strong. I want this. So I will go for the Lunacy Act. So I will 1, 2, 3 up to 320. So at least we have a fighting chance here on this one. But again, these were all of our 3 actions for this round. And then we have to resolve a bill. Yeah, I could basically revoke that bill or so, right? But honestly, I don't want to. I really want to show as much as possible. So I'm a gambling man. So I will basically go for the public health. No, for the... Was this the Lunacy Act? Exactly. So we're drawing an uncertainty card, and again, some cards will be in our favors, some not so much. And again, you're shuffling the deck each time you're drawing from it. So it's basically always, it's almost like rolling a die, right? And it's the same one, and I shuffled the heck out of this deck, right? So yeah, I think in this case, yeah, the game is over. Okay, so that's main point. So I really didn't make it to the first election, and I think I would have been prepared, actually, but I would be losing all these cool builds which I would really need. So this is really bad. So the uncertainty card is gone, which means this build didn't pass. We already know the drill. So this goes down 1 and 2. He's gaining 3 victory points. We don't care about those. He's gaining 2. Next we will go into a challenge phase. His standing is 10, our standing is 9, and his favor is higher there with the Royal Majesty. So he's successfully challenging us, which means we have just lost our job as the Prime Minister. Nicely done, Marcus. Great job. And yeah, that's how you don't run a government, quite obviously. I mean, this all started with this -1. What would have been another card? Let's just for the giggles, we are drawing another uncertainty card. That's the 0. If you would have drawn this 0 card, basically last round with this bill, and I almost forgot, what was it actually? I think it was the Mainz one. This one here, exactly. Would have gained another supporter, 2 points, and things would look completely different. I think we would still have Disraeli with us. So this -1 card last round was already pretty brutal, but I believe that's how the game goes. Going for too much risk, I think, is not something that we should have done. We could, I believe, have survived one more round. Yes, if we would have revoked that build, we would be down to 10. He would be at 9, so we would still be standing, but then I would really have to hope for the final build next round. And then I think going through the election would have been quite okay, because we are gaining a lot of stuff here. More gentry, more for the farmers, for example. So I think this alone would have given us at least 5 more steps. We would have dropped maybe with their liberals, which would have lost them 3, and maybe would have gained another supporter for more. So I think we would have been prepared for the election, at least. Also, it was close. It's a nail biter, and again, I have no clue how to win this game in Clockwork Mode 1. Maybe that's not what you are supposed to do. It's kind of a learning rule set, I believe, basically preparing you for the full game or so. But this is ultra brutal. I played this game once before. I think I was more successful on the builds back then, so easier builds came out back then as far as I remember. And I think I didn't ever really struggle too much with the favor, because I believe last time I started with the Earl of Aberdeen, so I was always flattering Her Royal Majesty once, and so he was always with his first cube basically using his favor, his flatter action as well, which is kind of eliminating then something that he is messing with these builds down here. Maybe for this mode you really need a politician who has a debate rating of 2, so that you can really more effectively deal with those builds. Those builds in this mode are really super critical, it seems. So maybe I really should have chosen rather than drawn randomly. And yeah, again, I'm really playing on a relatively easy difficulty level. That's a 1-star politician who's making things relatively easy. I mean, look at Palmerston here, who is a liberal level 3. So he's really 2 in Ireland, 2 for the workers. Then he's drawing supporter cards. Similarly here. So he's really heavily attacking the elections, but not so much for the bills. Not sure what's more. I mean, really getting the standing up in the parliament is definitely, it's important and it's difficult to do. But yeah, it's I'm failing miserably in this game, but all the more reason that I like it, actually. If this would feel like a cakewalk, I think I wouldn't be as excited. But I'm definitely curious to hear from you what you think, what I should have made differently, or what decisions I should have taken. Yes, I think the last one, really going for this build, I could have survived another round at least. So I could have walked you through this last one here, and then we might be able to look into, maybe that's something I should have done. But honestly, I really felt that I was losing. As soon as I lost Disraeli with his quite powerful hobnobbing action, I think this was pretty key in this place, because his standing was already so high. Maybe let's have a look what supporter would. I mean, I played with the idea drawing a supporter instead of going on. What supporter would I have been drawing? And yeah, that is a nice one, and definitely increasing the standing is cool. But the influence switch, which is an action which I can't take with the Earl of Aberdeen, and not with neither with Disraeli. Again, I could have switched partisans with moderates, which would then ultimately have helped me with both of these builds, and that's what I was hoping for actually with my first action with Disraeli, getting a supporter that would give you this capability, because I would have immediately gained 10 votes on each of those votes for the basically for the moderates, right? We had 2 with moderates. Yes, exactly. We had 2 builds with the moderates, exactly, and for both of those he would have been helpful actually. So that's really a bummer, but yeah, that's basically how it goes. So again, let me know what you think. This was a relatively short episode. I could have dragged it on for at least 1 or 2 more rounds. Apologies for that. I could have shown you an election, but the election is basically the same thing. So maybe let's play it through. So let's say I would have played these cards here. So the gentry would go up. The gentry gives us, where is the gentry here? This would has given us, let's say, 1-2 votes. Then we have the farmers or the workers, right? Farmers would have given us 3 more. 1, 2, 3. So we would have been tied. And then we would have the liberal, the Thackeray here. He would have dropped the liberals by 1 step. So we would have gained 1, 2, 3 votes here. So basically, let's say this was it. So that was our vote projection for the next round. So then, right now we are winning, but then we are also drawing an uncertainty card. And again, I have to shuffle those. So we always do that. So right now we are winning with 333 to 325, but we are also drawing a uncertainty card. So let's see what we get. And it's the same one. So I think we are still okay. We would have lost 1 seat because now we are looking at the topmost here. So we would be at 332. Ultimately, I think for that win, we would have gained 2 victory points. If we would have gained more seats, or if we would have gotten to 340, for example, for each 10, you are getting 1 additional victory point. But I think then ultimately after the next round, we would have most likely lost it or not. So I think winning this mode is really, really challenging. So I'm not sure if I will continue playing this mode or if I should be directly switching to Clockwork Mode 2. I think I have a good idea, a good handle now on the rules on some of these cards. So I think it's really time to move on to the Clockwork System 2 and not be too afraid of losing my job as the Prime Minister. But yeah, that's how you play Prime Minister. Again, I'm not showing you how you play these games well. I'm not only showing you how to play those. At least rules-wise, I hope I was okay in this video. If not, let me know and I will leave something in the comments or in the Klingon subtitles, or maybe I catch it during editing. You know the drill. And before I forget, huge shout out to all of my patrons and channel members. You guys are truly amazing. So if you want to support my little channel here, you will find a link to my page on Patreon. You can support me or join me here directly on YouTube, joining, I think, the community that's called in here for a very small fee actually. You can click this little thanks button below the video for a small, or maybe not so small donation. Like and subscribe, leave a comment. This also greatly helps the channel, of course. I also do very much appreciate that. And yeah, with that being said, hope to see you soon in one of my other videos. And until then, bye bye.